Hey YouTube, welcome back to another History Teacher Reacts video with Mr. Terry as I continue my quest for historical knowledge here on YouTube. Alright, today we are watching another video from Simple History. I thought this one was kind of interesting and stood out to me, which was, it's titled The Man Who Fought with a Longbow and a Sword in World War II. And that brings in so many questions like why on earth would somebody be doing that in, you know, the 1930s and 40s. We progressed a lot, so I don't know. I'm wondering if he was effective, if he was effective, really. And yeah, I have a lot of questions, you know, of how this is going to be. So the Simple History people seem to put or find these kind of really interesting stories, just kind of these outlier scenarios of people doing heroic things or strange things or something like that, and it's been pretty fascinating. So, all right, well, we'll go ahead and check this out. There'll be a link to the original video down below. If you like it, make sure you head over there so you can give them a like and subscribe. And love to have you a subscriber here so you can continue on and we can continue to learn more and more history that's out here on YouTube. All right, with that, let's go ahead and get started.
This video is brought to you by Squarespace. We really appreciate Squarespace for supporting the channel and making it possible to create more epic, detailed, and educational content for our fans. If you want to easily make your own website that looks good, they have some incredible templates to use. There's nothing to install, patch, or upgrade ever, and they have award-winning 24/7 customer service. It's also really easy to set up or transfer your own domain name. Head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/simplehistory to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Cool.
Mad Jack, the man who fought with a longbow and a sword in World War II.
What a weird thing, huh?
John Malcolm Thorpe Fleming Churchill was born in Hong Kong and graduated from the Royal Military Academy at Sandhurst in 1926. He would later earn the nickname Mad Jack, or Fighting Jack, for fighting with a longbow, bagpipes, and a sword in World War II.
How do you fight with a bagpipe? I mean, it's a musical instrument. How do you fight with a bagpipe? All right.
Stationed at Burma with the Manchester Regiment in the British Army during peacetime, made Mad Jack restless. It was during the interwar years, in the 30s, that he would master the bagpipes and ride his motorcycle across the entire Indian subcontinent.
Wow.
In 1936, after moving to England, Mad Jack left the army and became a model and a movie extra. He would also practice a new skill, archery, and became so good that he represented Great Britain at the World Archery Championships in 1939.
Okay.
When war arrived, Mad Jack returned to the British Army and the Manchester Regiment as an officer and was shipped off to France.
Should be said that the British used to recruit heavily from their colonies, and at this time, India, you know, was a colony. Hong Kong was a possession that they basically had kind of gotten from the Opium Wars. So yeah, they got a lot of their military from recruiting from their colonies there, and provided a big bulk and huge support for the military.
During the Battle of France in 1940, Mad Jack led small raids on the enemy as the British Expeditionary Force was on the retreat from the Germans' relentless advance. Using a longbow and a Scottish broadsword as his weapon of choice.
English longbow had been around through the Middle Ages. It was a big part of like the 100 Years' War, and was a very effective weapon, but it's also like 700 years after that. So I mean, yeah, it was a great bow. They are really big. I think they can be like 6 feet tall, and they kind of became obsolete eventually. It was difficult. I mean, it was nearly impossible to use mobily. You know, like you couldn't be like a horseback archer, you know, with like an English longbow. So that's why you saw like over in Asia, developed with like the Mongols and stuff, more of the composite bow, which was a lot smaller, and was much better for horseback there. So yeah, because I mean, you would not be very mobile at all with a longbow, and at least an English style longbow, which is, I'm assuming, what this guy was using.
He became the only soldier known to have felled an enemy with a longbow in the war when he landed a shot on the enemy Feldwebel with a barbed arrow. When
Wow.
asked why he did this, he replied, "Any officer who goes into action without his sword is improperly dressed." During the retreat to
What?
Dunkirk, Mad Jack was shot in the neck. When asked how it happened, he replied, "German machine gun," casually. He would also win the Military Cross for bravery after rescuing a wounded British officer from a German ambush.
So the Dunkirk, the flee from Dunkirk, of course, has been talked about a lot. Was that movie Dunkirk was basically all about that and how challenging it was to have this retreat by all these soldiers. And I'm just imagining of all the people, the thousands of people that they're trying to evacuate and that are trying to bunker down. You got this dude with a giant longbow, and now he's carrying people. It seems like you would stand out like a sore thumb there.
After Dunkirk, Mad Jack signed up for the Commandos, and when his training was complete, he was sent to Vagsø, Norway in 1941 as second in command of No. 3 Commando in Operation Archery.
Good name for him.
As he left the landing craft, Mad Jack played March of the Cameron Men on his bagpipes and then led his men ashore with his broadsword waving in the air. The German garrison at Vagsø
So weird,
was
though,
quickly
still.
defeated. Prisoners were taken and the artillery batteries captured, along with shipping destroyed on Malloy Island. For this action, Mad Jack received his second military cross. In 1943,
He's effective.
Italy, Mad Jack led 2 Commando with the objective to destroy German artillery and observation posts in the town of Piglioletti. Even though the town was well defended and outnumbered, Mad Jack organized his men into 6 parallel columns, who instead of using stealth tactics all shouted "Commando!" The German defenders, as a result, were confused into thinking the shouting, which was coming from all directions in the darkness, was a much bigger force. In this
So it sounds like this guy was almost better as a leader than, as an actual soldier, more effective. And again, it would be, he said he shot down an officer with his bow, but like, it seems like that's where, again, a lot of his skill is. He was leading this, and I don't know. Imagine if you're in his regiment or whatever, and your commander or whatever is using a sword and a bow. I wonder if they were having a hard time taking him seriously or something like that. Maybe he was very charismatic. It might have been like that. But it sounds like he had some interesting tactics. The one they were just saying of, yelling and stuff around the Germans and making it sound like there were more people than they were. Pretty brilliant. But again, it almost sounds like his tactics, like that's a pretty, rudimentary tactic. It sounds like something that would have been used in like the 100 Years' War or something, when the longbow and, swords were kind of the best weapons of the time.
In this skirmish, the 50 men of No. 2 Commando took 136 prisoners. Mad Jack, who was assisted by Corporal Raffel, took 42 German prisoners and captured a mortar crew using his broadsword.
Wow.
After marching the prisoners down to British lines, he said, "I maintain that as long as you tell a German loudly and clearly what to do, if you are senior to him, he will cry, 'Jawohl,' and get on with it enthusiastically and efficiently, whatever the situation."
Okay.
After losing the
Interesting.
broadsword in hand-to-hand combat earlier, he later went to the town on his own to retrieve it. On the way, he met an American patrol going towards the enemy lines when they should have been going the other way, so he told them that he wouldn't come back for a bloody third time. In 1944, Mad Jack was in Yugoslavia leading British...
So he's all over the place, right? Mainland Europe, but Norway or whatever. Now going to Eastern Europe. He's all over the place. Wow. So, they obviously, I guess, believed in him and putting him in these different situations. Okay. He got that medal earlier, so.
Commandos and now Yugoslav partisans attacking the vital hill called Point 622 on the island of Brac in the Adriatic Sea against the Germans. Heavy casualties were caused, and soon Jack was alone and out of ammo. With no hope left, Jack started playing songs on his bagpipes until he was knocked unconscious by a frag grenade and captured by the German defenders.
Well, it's not a good way to hide. The bagpipes are loud. That's a loud instrument. So going there and, playing that, interesting idea or thought to do that. It really is a mad Jack, right?
He was first sent to Berlin and interrogated, as it was thought that because of his real name, he was a relative of Prime Minister Winston Churchill, and afterwards sent to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. But in September 1944, Mad Jack and an RAF officer escaped the camp by crawling under barbed wire through an abandoned drain and set out to walk to the Baltic coast, but were then captured. Now sent to a new camp in Niederdorf, Austria, Mad Jack escaped again on April 1945, taking the opportunity to get away when the lighting system failed in the darkness of night. He walked 150 miles through the treacherous terrain of the Alps, surviving on vegetables that he had liberated from gardens. 8 days later, and with a sprained ankle, he found a U.S. armored column and was sent back to England. Jack was frustrated that the war in Europe was all but over, so made his way to the Pacific Campaign to join the battle against the Japanese in Burma. But by the time he arrived, the atomic bombs had been dropped on Hiroshima.
It's like this guy really, really wants to keep fighting, right? And when people would, if they had the opportunity to, leave the war, having that, he's like, he's disappointed or whatever that the war is ending, frustrated the war is ending. And I mean, that happens with some people. They find so much purpose with the military that really outweighs the risk, right? The risk of your life, and that can happen and does happen sometimes. So very, very resilient that way.
Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mad Jack was so unhappy bombs had been dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Mad Jack was so unhappy, he said, "If it wasn't for those damn Yanks, we could have kept the war going another 10 years.
Just what I was saying. Like, he's disappointed the war's over. He's disappointed. He wants to fight for another 10 years. Well, everyone's celebrating here, the end of the war. He's like, no, I want to keep fighting. Jeez.
After the war, Mad Jack continued to seek danger, qualifying as a parachutist, then transferring to the Seaforth Highlanders, and later ending up in Palestine in 1948 as second in command of 1st Battalion, the Highland Light Infantry. During an ambush on a Jewish medical convoy by Arab forces, Mad Jack, with only 12 men and in full military dress, marched under fire to the convoy to offer its evacuation. "I grinned like mad from side to side," he said afterwards, "as people are less likely to shoot at you if you smile at them."
Wait. I grin like mad from side to side as people are less likely to shoot at them if you smile at them. That's an interesting thought. I wouldn't go around trying that, but this guy does not lack confidence. Holy cow. This guy seems like he's destined, or he's secretly got a death wish. You know what I mean? Willingly putting himself into so many deadly situations.
"Like mad from side to side," he said afterwards, "as people are less likely to shoot at you if you smile at them." He would later coordinate the evacuation of 700 Jewish doctors, students, and patients from the hospital atop Jerusalem's Mount Scopus. Mad Jack would retire from the Army in 1959 with 2 awards of the Distinguished Service Order. Subscribe for more World War II.
So he was involved, in the early World War II, or a bunch of campaigns in World War II. That was amazing how all over he went, even going to help in the Pacific campaign right away. And then getting involved while being stationed there in Palestine, in the Arab Palestine, or kind of Jewish Palestine, some of those first military conflicts there, those wars, which are going to happen a bunch, and getting involved in those. But yeah, that's putting himself into a lot of situations, but man of confidence, right? And looks like had some success. So yeah, what an interesting story as an outlier of so many characters that you do meet in sort of World War II. But yeah, going back just to the longbow and sword in World War II is, he had become so interested in archery and apparently was useful, but he apparently had this leadership acumen that was pretty useful and gained some support there. So yeah, what a peculiar character, right? And history is full of those. And it seems like wars are especially filled with some of these kind of folks. So, and that's what they've done a lot. It seems like with the Simple History channel is it's kind of neat that they're finding these outlier stories out there that are pretty fascinating. So I think that's pretty good. All right, awesome. Well, this was just enjoyable, kind of interesting little video there, and learning some kind of somewhat random kind of and peculiar story, for the war. So that was great. There's a link again to the original video down below if you'd like to see it without my commentary, or definitely give them a like and subscribe for the original content creators. Some other ways you can support as well for this channel. Like and subscribe is also appreciated. You can also join our Patreon. All Patreon pledgers, regardless of their donation level right now, are able to vote in a weekly poll for one of the videos that will make it on this week. So you can do that. There will be a link down below in the description for that as well. We also have a Discord server. There's also a link down below if you'd like to join a little history community out on the web, and I would love to see you over there. All right, with that, I think we'll go ahead and cut it here, and we'll see you next time. Bye.